So hello, amazing technology. So it's all a little learning experience for us, but it seems to work really quite well. So welcome to working group number 2, which is focusing on water-linked heritage and sustainable riverside tourism. And I'm really happy today that we have here some knowledgeable speakers from the Netherlands, from Germany, and also Hungary, which will share their experiences with us in flash presentations. And I'm also happy that Barbara Anton from ICLE Europe is with us. That will help to steer a little bit the discussion and the feedback. And so welcome also to you and to everybody who's here in the group. And please don't hesitate. We will want to have a good discussion together. So with this, we go right away into the presentation of Hans Tholen. He is a heritage policy expert from the Department of Spatial Planning and Real Estate of the municipality of Breda, very nice city in the Netherlands. And he's gonna introduce the new Lahn River and heritage valorization to us. So Hans, you have your flash presentation of 4 minutes, and let's see how it works with your sharing your presentation.
Do you all see it?
We all see it. Excellent. Please go ahead.
Very good. Well, thank you for giving me the floor for a few minutes. Well, I'm coming indeed from Breda. It's a city of about 185,000 inhabitants in a region of 700,000. And it is in the province of Noord-Brabant with 2.5 million people. Before I start, I want to advise everyone to make a cycle tour in Europe, because one of the things that Europe did very well was to make cycling routes along rivers. I had the chance of cycling from Amsterdam to Rome, and it's along 13 rivers. And you get to know the rivers and the landscape very well then. We did it in 26 days, and well, it was really a very good experience. And so please do that. Okay, I will go to my next slide, and here you see, well, and here you see the Breda is in the delta of the Rhine and the Maas, and it's laying between the two important landscapes. On the north, we have the former Dutch water defense line. That's a part of our defense systems in history. And in the south, we have the future Vincent van Gogh National Park. That's under development. It's also in the south and the east of Breda. It touches the places where the famous painter had his early years. And here you see well, an excerpt of the map of our inner city. That's the inner city is, as a matter of fact, I don't know if you see my mouse. This is the circle around the inner city. And we have two water-related big plans. This is the return of the river in the city, which is partly realized. And the purple one is the Crossmark area, close to a new high-speed train connected station. And this is a former industrial area that is being transformed. The river here is related to 4 European projects, and the WAVE project, with which I'm the project manager at this moment, is now at stake for the Crossmark area, where we try to revalidate the relation between water and heritage. Well, first we go to the return of the River Mark. It was really a catalyst for inner city regeneration. The river and harbour were covered during the Second World War and in the 60s. But after 40 years, we reopened this harbour and a part of the river in 2008. And now the third part is being planned, and it is the stage of the definite design. What is important to say about the tourism and things like that is that the estimated rise of spendings in our inner city due to the return of the river is about 15%, and we have about 13 working places realized along the present state of the river. And the private investment along this river is 200 million, with all the work attached to that. So the timing the process was started in 2000, and the finalization is to be in 2026 of the whole river. It's a total plan of about 60 million euros, and the city of Breda is the responsible one. Here you see some images. This is how the river was when it was covered. It was an underground parking. It was the first underground parking in the Netherlands. And here you see the asphalt, the tarmac atmosphere that was realized through this investment. And here on the right, you see the returned harbour. And you see the river, in which we have all kinds of ecological processes. And here you see some experience, what we are working now in the project of the green case, also in a European project. And this is how to make the case, the mineralized case of the rivers more green. So for the greenification of the city, that's most important. And here on the right, you see some future plans of things that are going to be realized. Then the second is the purple area, it's the crossmark area. You see here an image of this area. This was an old sugar factory. And on the right, there's still an old, very big refrigerator. This is about a big process, about 70 hectares of industrial area to be transformed. And water is to be used as a catalyst for an ecosystemic approach. We want to have mixed use enterprises, leisure, but also a big retention area, which is important for the whole water system in Breda and the region. So, and also a revitalization of the relation of water and heritage. What we say, and that's the main thing of the WAVE project, as a matter of fact, that is well, often water-related areas are only used for housing, and we think that you have to think more about the relation between water and the existing heritage around it, its landscape, buildings, etc. So the results are a redefinition of the city center of Breda. It's going to be larger. There's placemaking now there. It was a very good cooperation with the province and the city, and we purchased the whole terrain of the sugar factory, and we made a development and realization strategy. This will be a long time process for 20 years with a public investment of about 110 million euros. And we work close together with the province and also with the water board Brabantse Delta. Okay. Well, here you see an image of Crossmark on the way. This is the present situation. Here on the left, you see the new station, the courthouse. This is all industrial. It's all industrial buildings that are being saved. And well, this whole area will be a new part of our inner city, which will give a new character and identity to our city. Here you see the image of, well, it's not a definite design, but this is, well, for the discussion with the public, we realized this. So this will be quite an interesting area. Well, I only have 4 minutes, so thank you very much for your attention. And if you have questions, well, there will be time for that, I think, in the discussion.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. I think very ambitious projects, and you see already the first results with the City of Breda. I think that is really excellent to see. With that, I would like to invite the next flash presentation. That will be from Susana Gross from Lahn Tourism. She's going to speak about the hiking, cycling, and kayaking trails of the Lahn River. So Hans has already told us how nice this can be. And so I invite Susana to present what you have been doing. And of course, as Hans has said, questions and discussion come after the 3 flash presentations. Susana.
Yes, thank you. Oh. Here we are. Thank you for inviting us, and welcome to everyone to the Lahn Valley. A few words to the Lahntal Tourismusverband. We are the DMO for the whole of the Lahn Valley, the organization for the entire destination. About 1 million people live here, and about 2 million people visit every year. This does not work. It drives me crazy. The River Lahn is a thematic trail trigger for our 3 trails, thus making our hiking, cycling, and kayaking trails part of the ThreeT program. All projects are permanent projects and ongoing. First, I will show you the Lahn Wanderweg Trail, a certified hiking trail from spring to mouth. The German Hiking Association certified the route, and it was opened in 2012. 290 kilometers are divided into 19 stages that mean train stations and accommodations. We considered carefully how to digitize the trail, and as a result, there is only one data set to be used for everything. The technology we use is open data ready and schema.org compatible. It feeds our own homepages and web apps, plus various external route planners, apps, channels, from outdoor platforms to state tourism organization to local accommodation. Everyone can use this. The budget to build the route was around about 300,000 euros, and it was funded by the EU and co-financed by the local authorities. Added to that, we have an annual budget from the local authorities of 74,000 euros for marketing and central trail management. Next, there is the Lahn cycling route, the Lahn Radweg. It was founded in the 1980s and is one of the first routes to achieve a certificate from the German Cycling Association, ADFC. 250 kilometers long, it more closely follows the river than the hiking trail by using the historic towpath as often as possible. The data technology is, of course, the same as with the Lahn Wanderweg trail. At the moment, we are engaged in establishing an annual budget for marketing and central trail management, but most of the building and maintaining of the route is in the responsible of the federal states or the local authorities anyway. Both projects were coordinated by the Landtal Tourismusverband and in collaboration with the county authorities. The third trail is a little different. Kayaking on the River Lahn, you don't need to find a route. It's there. The river is right there. Our responsibility in this project was to coordinate and counterbalance the various interests along the river. There is nature preservation, sports, tourism, angling, power generation, passenger boat service, just to name a few. How is the River Lahn organized? Approximately 150 kilometers of the River Lahn are in ownership of the German Federal Republic and classified as a federal waterway, Bundeswasserstraße it is called. On the other hand, the riverbanks are quite often classified as nature preservation areas or protected landscapes. Both classifications have their own sets of rules concerning the do's and don'ts. What did we do? In 1997, a visitor management concept was implemented to counterbalance the opposing interests and to protect sensitive areas. The result is, at the moment, there are 160 river kilometers for kayaking available. Green information boards mark the 41 official entry-exit points and resting places. And the canoe tour operators that are located at the River Lahn cooperate with the local authorities in a public-private partnership to set up and maintain portable toilets during the season. This sounds small, but it's very important for everyone. Now to the financing. To set up the 41 official entry-exit points and resting places, the budget was approximately 130,000 euros, funded by 2 federal states in ancient times and co-financed by the local authorities. It's been done in the 1990s. The local authorities maintain the official entry-exit points and resting places and co-finance the public-private partnership together with the canoe tour operators. And the federal government mans and maintains the locks, which are all industrial monuments, and this is quite some budget. This project is a comprehensive collaboration. A collaboration between, for example, the waterways and shipping office, the nature conservation authorities and associations, the local authorities, the Society of the Canoe Tour Operators, and the Landtal Tourismusverband. Here are a few questions from our 3 routes. We are glad that this many authorities and institutions have managed to work together for so long, keep the River Lahn alive and beautiful for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Susana, for this great example as well, with two ways of moving along or on the river. So very good. Thank you very much. And I invite the last flash presentation coming, as I should say, last but not least, of course, coming from Hungary, from Zoltán Bára, which I invite also to open his presentation. He's going to speak to us about festivals in the Pons Danubii area. So very nice river, the Danube. So let's hear also what you have been doing. Zoltan?
Hi, Astrid, just quickly jumping in here. Zoltan had an issue with joining the room, but he should be joining us very quickly.
So maybe in the meantime, I can invite Barbara to already say some words about the two first presentations. Would that be okay for you?
Yes, absolutely. Maybe that's a moment where I could ask a few questions from my side that give me a little bit of a better idea of how things were actually happening in the different cities. In terms of Breda, I was wondering, you had this wonderful parking space obviously in the midst of the city, and all of a sudden you had to push away the cars and obviously to bring the river up to the surface again and so on. How did you ever get a good, how did you push that through? Wasn't there a lot of objections that you would take away space from the city or so for car drivers?
Well, of course, we had a lot of discussions with the entrepreneurs of the inner city, of course. We have about 550 businesses who are dependent of parking and things like that. But we had a good collaboration, because we were principal of an investigation done by an independent party to see what could be the economic effects of the return of water. Okay. And from that research, it was quite convincing that, well, in the old days, the inner city floated a little bit away in the tarmac, in the asphalt. And by returning the river and the harbor, in fact, the inner city became larger. And there were more business opportunities than there were before. And beside that, the city became much more attractive for tourists, and also the water connection was new. So I think the future of inner cities, you sometimes have to add new elements to inner cities, and water is a crucial element in that. And what we always say, if you create water in your city, you always get twice what you make, because you can also, the reflection in the water of what you make, you get it for free.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. And how have you entered into a lot of roundtables with, for example, businesses? Have you had, interaction with your stakeholders around, or was it more happening at a planning table in the municipality?
Yes, of course, and we had to do that because it is a huge amount that you have to invest from public money. So you need a lot of people who must be convinced that this is a profit for everyone. Well, Europe helped us a little bit through the Water and Historic City Centers project. They added 1.5 million of the 29.5 that we needed. But also, when you have a European flag on your project, you get other funds are opened quicker. So also our central state of the Netherlands, they have a sort of a small fund for improvisation, and they added also a few million. And also we created opportunities for developers to create water along the river. And we said, well, if you create real estate along the river, you can sell it for a higher price than when you sell real estate on the tarmac or asphalt.
Now you're frozen on my screen. I don't know, is this? Ah, no, you're back.
Oh, no. So you can sell your apartments on a higher price. And what we say is that a certain percentage of this higher price that you get from creating on the water, we must invest in the water. So everyone, that needed a lot of communication. So when you start in projects like that, you have to invest in a communication infrastructure. That is very important.
All right.
Thank you, Hans. Could we allow a small question, Barbara? Also, I think we had another hand raised.
Absolutely.
This is also for Hans, Raymond.
Yes, that's also for Hans. Was a very nice presentation. I didn't see in the presentation of Hans the aspect of climate, because I can imagine that if the water returns into the city, that the climate in the city will also be better. Yeah, well, I didn't have the time to go into that. But you say that the main targets of our city in the development is that we want to be a city in the park, a green city.
We want to be a borderless city and an hospitable city. These are the key elements of the future of our city. And we want to use a river indeed to have less heat stress in the inner city, because it's mainly a mineralized material in the inner city. And the other thing is that we want to use also the river for energy transition, because we think that when we use the river in a clever way, we can provide about 50,000 units for cooling in summer and contribution to heating in winter. And we also executed that in the courthouse that I showed you on the slides. That's the energy system of that courthouse is also connected to the river. So
very nice.
It's an integrated ecosystemic approach what we try to reach.
Super, thank you so much. That is really a holistic approach that you have been trying to show in your flash presentation, but so we can have a conversation about what you have been doing. This is really great.
I was also wondering, did you have a chance to monitor the use of these new paths and opportunities? Could you see certain developments, and especially now during the last 1.5 years or so, has there been a higher, more intensive use of these different opportunities that you have built?
We have real numbers only for the cycling route, because there are some counters installed at certain places. And we can see that in the first lockdown at the beginning of 2020, a lot of people were cycling, but this curve decreased again and ended up on the same level as the usual use of the cycling tour. Overall, it's about 1/3 more cyclists than the year before. So that's what we could see, and we can see the beginning of 21, it starts like a lot of years, but it's a bit more, it's a bit higher level, but the curve itself, of course we have the most cyclists in summer. There's no question about that.
Sure. Yeah.
There are people who collect river trails, and they come to the Lahn Valley once in their lives, and they come in the summer and they cycle. And the hiking paths all over the Lahn Valley have been frequented more, and our colleagues tell us that there are more people walking and hiking, and but it's no real numbers that have been counted.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So do we have a question from the audience to our two speakers so far? Maybe Thomas, what do you think about the Lahn River? Does it look good to you?
It's very. I think it's a very. It's very Dutch to dig the river back, and I think it's a beautiful thing to see from Brussels, because we are very struggling with our rivers ourselves, and seeing all those cities doing that is kind of an amazing process.
Thank you, Thomas. I think I also wanted to ask Hans if you cannot go to Brussels and ask the authorities to do something similar. That would be actually amazing to see that.
We are not the only one, Astrid, because in the WAVE project we are working closely together with, for instance, the city of Ravenna in Italy, who is making a major effort in the Darsena area. We have the city of Aarhus in Denmark participating, which is the harbour front redeveloping. Alicante in Spain, which has more regional impact in trying to give heritage a function in the whole water system. That's really very interesting. And also Istra Granum, which is on the border of Hungary and Slovakia. The cultural guidance of these projects is very important. You should not underestimate the cultural impact of water for cities and regions. A lot of poems and songs are inspired by water. And what we try to revalidate in the WAVE project is the relation between water and heritage. And so don't throw away valuables before having the things having the chance to have a new function. And take care of function mix along the river so that it's not monofunctional, but that it's multifunctional and it adds something, extra value. And do not estimate the strong force of water. That's
I would never do that. I myself, I'm from Berlin, and we are told to have more bridges than Venice over the river. So I have been growing up with that. And I also want to point to our story that we have been writing. You can find it in the chat. It's called Daylighting Urban Rivers. And some of the examples that you have heard from Hans are in there. And you can read about it and find also more information and videos and everything from other experiences. So I invite you to look at that. And with that, I would like...
What
yes,
was the name? What's the name was?
The name is Daylighting Urban Rivers, and you find it in the chat. It says "Discover the Story." It's on the Interreg Europe Policy Platform portal.
Okay.
But you have a link in the chat here. So can I invite Zoltan, please now? We're happy you found a way to this breakout room, as technology is not always so easy. So please share with us your flash presentation.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm Zoltan Bara. I'm sitting some 200 meters from the river Danube in Slovakia, in a bordering town called Komárno. We were participating in the project SWARE, and I'm director of an organization called Pons Danubii. It's an EGTC, it's a European grouping of territorial cooperation. We are neighbors of the Istergranum, as Hans has already mentioned. And we are just celebrating our 10th anniversary, and the things that we are active in are mostly connected to the rivers, as the city I was mentioning, Komárno, is a meeting point of two rivers in Slovakia.
We cannot see your presentation. If you...
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen. And so within this organization, we are proud of our cultural and natural heritage. So we are at the meeting point of two big rivers, and there are a lot of lakes around us. The SWARE project was called Sustainable Heritage Management of Waterway Regions, as it has the title. And we were focusing on the cultural and the historic and innovative use of our heritage. I would like to speak shortly about the cultural life, which in our case is a cross-border issue. Our EGTC comprises 7 municipalities in the region, and there are some specific fields in which I think this region is specific in Europe. There are sister towns in the region which are very closely linked. As I was saying, our headquarters is located in Slovakia, in Komárno. On the Hungarian side, on the southern part of the Danube, there's a municipality with the same name. And we have some other members as well. And we have 2 historic centers in the region. One is in Slovakia and Komárno, and the other one is a municipality called Tata. It's not the car manufacturer in India, but it's a beautiful municipality in Hungary, which is built around the lake. I will show you some pictures. And we are using our historic experiences. We have had 500 years ago the Turkish siege in our regions, and we have the freedom fight and revolution in the 19th century. Maybe a few words about this specific cohabitation of the 2 towns in 2 states which would like to act as one. Before the First World War, it was one city, but due to the turmoil of the 20th century, now we have 2 states on the northern and the southern part of the Danube. We have an annual festival in this sister town since the Velvet Revolution and since the change of the regime, since 1990. And it's a 1-week festival, which has always the same starting period, April the 26th. It's commemorating our victory against the Habsburgs in 1849 when we had our freedom fight. And actually, this festival is using a very nice cultural and built heritage, which is a fortress system. This is the largest fortress system in Central Europe, one of the biggest ones in Europe. It was built from the medieval ages, from the Turkish invasion, and mostly by the Habsburgs. So if the Habsburg monarch would flee from Vienna, in any case, he or she would come to Komarno because it was designed for 200,000 soldiers. So this festival is concentrating on these fortresses. These are on both sides of the Danube, and it's a long ongoing festival that we are proud of. And of course, the two municipalities are the main organizers, but a lot of NGOs, universities, schools, basically a lot of stakeholders are involved in the organization. The other interesting part.
2 minutes, please. 2 minutes, please.
Yeah, okay. The other interesting part is the Tata is the municipality built around the lake, which uses its historic cultural identity as well. There is a festival commemorating the Turkish siege. We have a very great, fantastic festival, Water, Music and Flowers, which is trying to connect water, music, flowers, the nature and the people around. It's a bigger festival in the region. And actually there's a curiosity. It's called the Wild Goose Festival. This lake is a home for some 60,000 wild geese who are traveling from the Baltics. They are staying here and then they go to Africa and stay at this lake. And in September, by the end of September, it's a beautiful view when you see 60,000 birds emerging from the lake. We have some pictures from the Komarno days. And actually the last one is a very interesting cultural happening that I would like to share with you. This lake in Tata, as I was mentioning, is connected to the river Danube by a channel. And in each October, there's the level of this channel, there's more water in it. And people are gathering in all kinds of self-made boats. And there are thousands of people. There's a bike route along this channel. So there are people supporting them. And as you can see from plastic bottles, used cars, all kinds of little boats are used. There are hundreds of such groups flowing down from this lake to the river Danube. And I think it's quite a unique happening. Our festival.
Very nice.
Diversity. So that's the essence. Thank you very much, and feel free to ask any questions. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you for sharing this with us. Yet another way of valorizing water and the rivers with the festivals, and also the nature with the migratory birds. I think it must be a spectacular sight. So with that, I give the word to Barbara again.
Yes, thank you, Sultan. This was also very nice to see, and it seems like one of the places to go once we are allowed to travel again, and we are all looking forward to that. I was wondering, do you know more about this? We heard from Claire Baffair beforehand in her presentation that many rivers are really in a poor condition. And there's a lot to be done to restore the ecosystems, to find back to a proper, also more natural state again, and so on, and to be also the place for all these different species that are meant to live in it. It's in the first place, it's also obviously a space for nature to live in. How about the state of the quality of the water, the quality of the ecosystems in this area that you were talking about? And is there any disturbance between the festivals and the ecosystems or the water quality is that somehow measured or also taken into account when you're organizing your events and so on?
Yes, thank you. The River Danube, well, as the biggest river in Europe, well, the second biggest after Volga, but we consider it as the biggest one around here, is a border between two countries, Slovakia and Hungary, in our case. So there are state authorities dealing with that issue. We would like to somehow restore this one city in two states version of our life. And what we do to improve it is, so basically the water quality is an interstate issue, which is the municipalities themselves do not have much say into that. There are state agencies for that. But what we care about is that, for example, one of our main objectives was to develop the green and blue lines in our region. 10 years ago, there were practically no bike routes in our region. Now, after 10 years, we have several hundreds of bike routes in our region. So we are helping the environment with that. So our strategic objective is that all our member municipalities are connected by bike routes. We have water connecting these municipalities. And actually, maybe I will just, for half a minute, share it with you. Just last week, we started a bike sharing system, which is a cross-border bike sharing system along the Danube. It's called Kombi Bike. In Budapest, we have the Budapest Bike Bubi, and in Komárno, we have the Kombi Bike. And it's kombibike.eu, and I just want to show you the map. So it's not only in one city or in one town, but it's in a region, both in Slovakia and in Hungary. So we are developing services to that as well. So the blue lines and the green lines are our main objective, because we have a new bridge, for example, built last year in Komárno. That these things belong to the state, so that those are interstate issues. But developing bike routes, giving services to that, developing green and blue routes along the Danube, those are the things that our organization is dealing with.
Thank you. Maybe we have also some other questions, maybe from the audience. Astrid, have you discovered something?
I haven't discovered anybody raising the hand. So.
Yes, I just wanted to say that congratulations, because they are very nice projects. First of all, let me to present. I belong to Valencia, Spain, and I'm the head of a tourism area. It's a small region county. We work for 47 municipalities. We are 4 kilometers far from Valencia, and we also have a river that comes into our county, and is Júcar. The Júcar River has approximately 500 kilometers, and it's a river that all the population has from some years ago were living back towards. The river was something that nobody was interested because of several floods that we had and made big problems in the population. And now we are working on a project to give life to the river. And I can see in your examples that is possible, and that speaking with private and public and canoeing and kayaking enterprises, you can give the life that river and recover the landscape. And I congratulations, because I like very much the project you are making now. I'm not sure, because I have had some problems with the connection and I couldn't hear the beginning of all the e-workshop. But I have heard about these projects had helped for not only recovering the river banks, but also for implementing some activities, which is very interesting. And then just congratulations, and maybe in new calls, maybe we will try to participate for improve our river and make a place a living river also. Thank you.
Well, maybe it's also good to have contact with the WAVE participant of Alicante. Because they are very active in the region at this moment. So it's in your neighborhood, I think.
Yes, of course. But what's the entity, the university?
No, it's a project called WAVE. It's an Interreg project, and I can write you some information about it, so you can get it directly.
Okay.
I can also offer for those which are interested and are not in projects at the moment. We are offering services from the Interreg Europe policy learning platform, for example, like matchmakings and peer reviews, where you could say, look, our challenge is now to implement this or that project, or to restore the river, or to find good sustainable tourism activities along the river. How do we do that? And you can very easily apply for that by contacting me, for example, or my colleagues. And we can arrange that for you so that you get direct input from the peers.
Yes, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think we're coming to the end of this session already. I see there is still another question from Raymond, but maybe we have to postpone it to the last session. If ever you have questions which we cannot answer, then please write to us. We will make sure that all questions that are there are answered if we don't have the time in this session now. So we have a small break. You can use it again for networking, which was quite nice. I enjoyed that very much. Or you can have a small sanitary break and then be back with us at 4 o'clock for our final session, where we can also hear from the Commission how financing is possible. So see you all back in the main room at 4 o'clock, and in the meantime, have some nice networking. Thank you.